Well, everyone has to take a turn. Last week's show was pretty. That was pretty intense.
It was intense.
Yeah, it was very intense. And oh yeah, that's when it snapped off at 2:22. That was weird. I didn't
Wasn't it?
realize. Yeah, I didn't realize. It's been so long. I didn't realize if I started another show, it would knock it off because I left you as the host. And I figured out that's what happened. Is I had started a music show, I think it like two and a half, wherever it was, 2.5 hours later, and it stopped the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the feedback's been real good. Some of the reels are starting to be recycled back into the platforms, and people are picking up and I'm getting some comments. But yeah, the material's really good. I don't know if you guys, I saw you guys on the YouTube commenting with some of the comments that were on there. So
Mm.
Yeah.
that's always a strong move. But yeah, thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm honored and privileged to continue to facilitate and support this in any way I can. I just want to get a strong infrastructure behind this program and all the programs that are on these platforms, and we're going to expand the platforms as we used to. So we'll have
Great.
10 or 12 lives. Every time we live stream, we'll have 10 or 12 platforms that will be live at the same time. And then we'll upload to the audio package. I forget what it's called, speaker or something like that. It's like 6 audio, Spotify, Apple, all those, so people can hear them when they drive to work as well. You guys have a great show. I'm going to put my
Go do your thing.
earbuds in, and yeah. Oh, let me before I was about to end it. Let's see. Let me make host. Okay, your host. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate your efforts
Thanks,
and
Ted.
Thanks
We
heaps, Todd.
appreciate you too.
Absolutely. For facilitating it. Yes. Sorry, bear with I mean, sorry, I've just been very busy and a bit unwell, so I'm a little behind the eight ball. I'm just plugging my mic in now. Um, yeah, Katie, wow. Hi everybody. Hi Katie, how you going?
Still here.
It's about all you can say about it sometimes, some days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really intense.
Yeah. Um, well, funny, I'd forgotten all about this, but kind of not as well in the background, something called the Bible Code. When I asked for help in '93, I got a series of books and just a few different elements came into my life. And a book about the Bible Code was one of them. And it
I
was
think I have
written,
that.
pardon?
I think I have that.
Yeah, do you? Yeah, Michael
Mhm.
Drosnin wrote the book. He was a journalist, but the subject of the book was a mathematician, a Hebrew guy, a mathematician called Eli Rips, and he was the one who discovered the code. But I mean, it's been throughout history. It's in around the mid 1700s, there was a person called the Genius of Vilna, and he said everything that has ever been, is, and ever will be is contained within the Torah. And Isaac Newton spent his whole life. I mean, Isaac Newton was credited with unlocking the keys to the universe, basically the physics behind that led to things like string theory and quantum mechanics and Einstein. He's he did all
Oh,
that
that's
because,
nice. Newton wasn't deep state because
well,
wasn't Einstein?
no. Well, I don't
No.
believe that. Utilized for perhaps,
All right.
but I personally don't believe that. That's not the feeling I
Nice. I
get.
like hearing that. I like hearing that. I've been questioning that and I can't really feel into that.
Yeah, I mean, they used reduction. They used that well, really all they've been trying to do is make physicality the thing and separate us from spirituality. But Newton was quite very spiritual, religious, and that was everything he did was really about trying to find this code, to crack the code, the Bible code, the universe, etc. But the way it was found, and this is fascinating, was Eli Rips in the U in sorry, he moved to Israel. His hobby was code breaking. And the Hebrew Torah is just written in Hebrew characters, and it's closest to the source material. And I've spoken about this. The source material that all of this stuff comes from is what was put into code at Atlantis, the Atlantean age. So the group who knew what was playing out took steps, and they were guided to do this to make sure that everything, the reality of everything that was there that was lost, would survive being shut down and would be there when we were brought back. So the
Is
way
it
he
like
discovered,
Akashic records? Like the Akashic records
yeah,
hold everything for all time and they're going to be accessible to all of us. Plenty of
yeah,
people are accessing them now, and probably we are too. We're just not really conscious of it. But it's everything from all time for all of us, right?
all of us, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the book sealed until the end of time. Tom said about this time, or God said about the time we're in now. We do not have the time set by men. And when he isolates man, he says man. He's isolating the ego that controls the ego masculine principle out of balance. Instead, he would say humanity. We do not have the time set by humanity. He doesn't. He says men. So that left brain out of balance thing, time, time is the nature of time is transforming. So that's what was meant by the end times, the end of time, because the fifth dimension is what he called spirit, feminine, right brain, and the third dimension is physical, purely left brain. So time sits between them. So it has two natures. It's linear and it's non-linear. It's masculine and it's feminine. There's mathematics. He said mathematics is the language of the universe, but that has a kind of left brain, what you would call the hard sciences side to it, and a right brain side to it. One of the expressions of the right brain side, for instance, is the divination arts like astrology, numerology, tarot,
Arrow. Yeah.
because it's a map of the sacred geometry that creates the form and then how to move within it. And that's what connects your heart with the physical. So that's what's actually happening now. The fifth dimension, our spirituality is coming back into balance through the frequency stuff that's happening. Atlas has a role in this. And but the Bible code itself was encoded in the Torah. Now it's written like sentences, so there are words with gaps and there are other words. But what he did is take all the gaps away in the word. So it was just strings of characters. And I think there's like 308,306 characters or words within the Torah. And then he created a computer program which would look for skip sequences. And he started, I think, he predicted the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin 2 or 3 months before it happened, and he actually flew to the US. Sorry, he actually flew to Israel. Um, to this was actually the journalist. He flew to Israel to warn Yitzhak Rabin, but he lived with uh, Eli Rips, who discovered the code for that whole time. Now Rabin ignored it, and then he was assassinated. But what all the skip sequence for Rabin, let's say to spell the word Rabin or Yitzhak Rabin, you would have to the letters were every 17 letters apart. You could get the word Rabin. So you follow that code, 17 skip sequence of 17, and there will be words intersecting it. So the name of the assassin, the date of the assassination, the whole thing was all mapped out 3 months before it happened. The chances, the chances of this code being random, normally to prove something statistically beyond any doubt, it's something like the chance has to be 1 in 1,000 that it's random. Anything above that, it's seen as not possible. This was proven to be 1 in 10, 1 in 100,000. The chances of it being random and not deliberate are 1 in 100,000. Because of the nature of the code, scientists found a really hard time accepting the possibility that it's real. So it went through so many stages that military code breaking department confirmed it's real. The mathematics, they can't fault it. His mathematics. It went through multiple layers of the best mathematicians in the world at the most prestigious uh, universities around the world.
Universities, right, right.
All of it, yeah. And no one can dispute the mathematics. But what they found is the code was written into the Bible and it's infinite. It's infinite. Like it
Is
doesn't
it
stop.
is it what Greg Braden talks about? The
Maybe I'm not
code?
sure.
Okay, okay. I've seen him present, Mom and I saw him present. I've seen him do it numerous times. It's the coding in our DNA and
Hmm.
it's yeah, and it's fascinating. I couldn't even begin to repeat about it right now, but I was just curious if you knew anything about that.
Well, whoever put the code there, it was time locked for the point where computers were available. That's why Newton and no one could find the code until computers were invented. So it was put into source material that led to the Torah at the Atlantean age so that it would be ready to be unlocked when computers were invented, when we were at the right point to come back up to the point we were at Atlantis. But the inverse process that they wanted, those of the interference, the deep state, what we know as the cabal, the deep state, all the people, Soros, Rockefellers, they're just the human side. There's a much bigger picture to those of the interference that goes through the galaxy. Um, their motive, what they've been trying to do with this transformative energy that's flying around, can't happen now. So this code sealed until the end of time. It's the Bible code, but it's also how you meet life because that information is available to everybody all the time in the experiences they're having. All of us. The help, the help we want to be free of this problem has always been there. That's not the problem. It's the ability to perceive it, to receive it, to discern it.
Yeah, it's always been there. We are blocked or blocking ourselves or something. It's always there.
Mm, that's it. So getting ourselves out of our own way has been the big problem, and that's where the
Oof.
emotional reactionaryism comes
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
While we're reacting, we're not really taking it in. And the Bible code is one of these things, but they can't. No one can criticize the maths. No one. It's been recognized by people who find it very, very tough to accept the spiritual side of it as it's a reality. It's a thing. It was actually done deliberately, and the code is infinite. Your name could be in it, my name, and it's interactive. So for instance, when you come across something um, written, well, it could be anything. Let's say something about your names. Your name comes up. There might be some words that cross it that show you something about where you've come from or what's happening now, whatever that might be. Because you've perceived it, that alters your trajectory. So the next time you come back and look, there'll be words there that you didn't see at the time that
yeah,
suddenly they're there now. So the skip sequence didn't pick them up, but now it is. And
yeah,
they can't explain how that's possible. It goes against the laws of physics because time is one now what fifth dimension, space and time are unified. There's no that's why there's this thing in the end times, everything that's hidden shall be revealed because there's nowhere to hide it. There's nowhere to put it. Where do you put it when it's all unified? So this whole thing about history and the reality of where we're at and where we're headed, the clarity that's going to be coming through is pretty big, I think.
yeah. Um, so some of us were in the chat of Alive today on YouTube, and one person was saying this December, big, big disclosure month. And then I was saying, talk to me in 2027. It's going to be just very, very different. And then Lindsay sent me a Rewilding Women post, and I think I shared it with you on Instagram, basically about 2026 being considered the ignition year. I think that's what it was. I don't know. Lindsay, tell me if I'm wrong. But being the ignition year for what's coming in 2027. Like 2026 is going to look and feel chaotic and it's going to be really unsettling for you. The untethered to spirituality will lose their minds, and those with spirituality, like I have so much compassion for those who don't have faith, because I'm feeling like this and I have faith. I can't imagine feeling like this and not having faith.
Hmm.
So I don't know what's coming in December, but he was very adamant about December being really big. So
Oh,
I
that's
get really
definitely
excited about that. What's that?
that's that's definitely what I've been shown. Yes, December was
Yeah.
highlighted, and they said you will not end. The Arcturian said you will not end the year in the same situation with which you began it. And what I've been connected to over the years is a lot of different things connected to, because the twin flame soul group are what they call system busters. So when we connect to something, the energy goes into that something, whatever it is. And because darkness is an absence of light, it has an impact. So when we're connected to something like the financial reset.
Right.
The deep state had a version of the financial reset, slavery, the fourth beast rising from the sea, corporations, admiralty law, birth certificate. We become an asset of a company, the energy, our creative energy does through reactionaryism. But there's a good version too. So we were connected to this process deliberately years ago so that it would play out, and that connected the Nazarene, the energy the Nazarene put into our collective consciousness. So the outcome of what we chose, it connected that directly to some of these counter strategies that have been put in place for society, like physical, like the financial system, the legal system,
Mhm.
etc. There's a lot of stuff that's been done to flip the systems of civilization quickly around these events.
Right. And we can't imagine it living in this density, living with the programming we've been under. Yeah,
And
a
there's a
lot of
lot of
people,
disinformation around it too.
so much.
So
Like even if I want it, even when I'm quiet and reading into my intuition and the truth about this, that, or the other thing, there's so much, I don't know if the word is diluting it, that I don't know that I trust myself to
mm,
know what's what. There's so much. And everyone in the chat saying how horrible this week has been. Just
yeah,
intense. I mean, nobody used the word horrible, but just like tough and rough and intense and just a struggle. Um,
big time.
Big
We've
time.
we've been feeling it too. And I was at work this week feeling just like I had no energy at all. But I knew it was not a bad thing per se. I know
Yep.
it's not that at all. When I see this stuff now, I know it's a marker for there's going to be a shift coming, a physical shift. It always comes first. It's like just before a wave comes, the water withdraws first and then it comes forward. It's similar to that. There's a cycle of energy. And so what these events are kicking off in December are linked to this. But I was asking about it, and about 2.5 years ago, I think it was, the Pleiadians described what we're going into for about a 2 year period, 2 to 2.5 year period. That's called the frequency wars, which
Yeah.
implies there's a fight.
Yeah.
Like,
We can't even see the weapons wielded against us. We have
well,
no idea.
we know there are frequency weapons
Yeah,
against us. What we don't
for
know
sure.
is, well, there is a weapon that we have against that. That's been, we don't understand necessarily our creative power and what's happening with this frequency rise on the planet connecting to our body. So there's a relationship with how we're feeling, like, "Ooh," and this rise. Anything that's not of that transformation into 5D has to be dealt with. It's getting pushed up.
Right.
And so Atlas is about finishing that off. So that
Yep.
phase, the frequency war phase, is coming to an end over December. That's one of the big things. The frequency shift that Atlas was participating in when it went behind the sun. The timing of that perihelion, which is the time it's closest to the sun, we couldn't see what was happening on the other side, but it was
Mhm.
doing something to the frequency of the sun that's hitting the planet. Now it's been moving through the solar system, adjusting everything. So,
So it feels incredibly uncomfortable, but it's
but
absolutely for our benefit.
yeah,
Um, I keep seeing, reactionaryism, not necessarily controlling it, but harnessing, reining in our reactionaryism is kind of key to the entire game. But what I struggle with is the seeming opposite of that, which is apathy.
yeah.
Absolutely disconnected
Hmm.
with life or giving a shit about any of it.
Believe it or not, that's an asset to getting a handle on emotional reactionaryism because you're right. That's where it all begins and ends. That's the whole name of the game, is our emotional reactionaryism. That's what when you say giving our energy to this false reality or taking it back, it's through reactionaryism. And the mind is, it's what maintains it is our thinking.
Mm.
But the way Ramana put it, disillusionment is the final state of mind before you wake up to the truth. Because it's all a state of mind, anxiety, fear, depression. It's a product of a belief system or thinking that just keeps amplifying the reactionaryism. So we never stop and think. That's what stops us making an informed choice. But that's not possible anymore. And that's what they're doing. They're going after us like the final scenes in the Matrix, big time. They're trying to make that reactionaryism take over again. But too many
Yeah.
people
Too many
willing
people
enough,
clocked it. Too many people clocked
well,
it.
too many people are willing enough to go, hang on a minute, we've got to find a better way to deal with all these problems because doing it the same old way ain't going to work. Now, they may not have crystallized it in that sort of thinking, but I think that's what's coming next on a big scale is people letting the emotional, like like me, like all of us, we can feel it, like we want it to end, but the it's got to be real too. We
Yeah,
can't just
it
run
can't be
on.
phoned in anymore. It can't be faked. You can't will this into happening.
No, like we used to do.
And we did used to do it. We did. We had the ability somehow, but the rise in frequency is what has taken
Mhm.
that right away, which
Mm.
is a blessing. Absolutely. It absolutely serves our highest, but it's really uncomfortable for the
Yeah,
for
it
the
is. Yeah.
sensitive ones.
Um,
Um,
the
Lindsay had asked early on, the ones trying to make the transition with us, are they off planet?
yeah, the main element is off planet. Yeah. So there's, like I said, there's the galactic. There are ET races, malevolent ET races that have been brought into this system, but the ultimate, the one that really needs to make the transition is the one that fell. Now I know that kind of language is triggering because of this whole biblical thing.
Mhm.
God called it a portion of letting through of truth, the Bible, religion. It's important to get discernment back so that like for instance, the GCR is such a trigger word. People go, oh, it's all fake. As soon as it's all the deep state have got to do is throw fake around it and we just throw the whole lot out. That's exactly what
Yeah.
religion did to God.
Yep.
That's what
Yep.
has to stop.
It's
So
exactly
there's
what I've talked to you about this whole week is I'm really struggling with throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, that's the emotional reactionaryism. That's where it lives and dies. The ability to hold that while the emotions are flying around is what dissipates the energy behind the reaction. It's not that the thinking or the experiences you've had in your life go away, but the amount of power that reactionaryism has dissipates over time. That's why, because you're not acting on it. So it's
Yeah.
the action that keeps it going. But when you can't, you got nowhere to act, and you've tried everything and nothing works. So all you want is something that works. So you're not deluded about filling the space with something just so you don't have to. So just so you can tick the box. Oh, I know that I can put that in the back seat now, which is what we've gone through life with. That's run out of road. We can't categorize this into a solution that's just an illusion anymore. The solution has to be real. So it's causing this energy to dissipate in a big way, big way. And I think that's really going to start showing up in the physical in December and next year. And that's what allows the physical form to happen, is our creative power looking for the solution, the real one,
Right. Right.
instead of the fake one, their solution, centralized power. Someone
Lindsay in the chat says, "Not the baby." What a goofball. Oh, laughter breaks all of this up a little bit, but it's been a week of tears.
Big time. Yeah. But that's the whole point, and what I'm trying to get across is just getting a context to wrap all that around so that you're not fighting against it as if it's a problem that you feel this way.
Right.
There is a context that you can put all of this into where you're actually letting it be there as the solution, as progress, as hard as it feels. Something's happening. Which we know. Oh, and actually, I wanted to make another point. This is one way to handle all of this. Someone made a point a while back about this letting go of control thing. Me telling my story about 93 asking for help and then just walking out the door, left to right. And they made the point, well, you could do that because you didn't have a family or a job or anything pinning you down. You could just go wherever you want. There was no big consequence to that. And that's true. That's not what letting go of control means. I had to go through that process because of my soul purpose was connected to it. So it looked that way for me at the time. And there can be a part of that. I mean, being stuck in situations and relationships that serve the inversion need to be met in that spirit. But you can't just walk away from everything either. That doesn't work. That can be used as an excuse to justify staying comfortable as much as looking spiritual.
I wonder.
What
Go
it
on.
really looks like is challenging the belief system that says this is right and this is wrong. Is it really true? Now, you don't have to walk out the front door left or right to do that. Really, you've just got to be willing to let the truth be different to what you've always thought it was. Because that's what brings up fear of the unknown and self-doubt, and it holds you in it. And every experience you have from that moment on serves you moving through it. It's just about allowing room for it to be that. Sometimes to go somewhere properly, I was told years ago, sometimes to go somewhere properly, you've got to go a long way out of your way. Your way of seeing things, your way of doing things can be the problem. So allowing room for that, again, it's disorienting, but that's extremely powerful.
Yeah, yeah. You and I were talking about this week, how this is for me and our friend Anne, just suffering and comfort, and we're just riddled with the guilt, suffering and comfort, right? We're just kind of riddled with the guilt around it, but we've talked at length about it. Somehow it had to be this way. Like, I can't imagine having to go out in the world. I can't go out in the world with people I know and love. I can't imagine having to go out in the world against my will. So how my life is right now, we can't compare with everyone else, because how our lives was co-created, was divinely created by us and God for our particular soul purpose.
Yes, to serve the transition of the human race.
To serve the transition of the human race. But when you're comfortable in all the physical material ways and have this depth of pain, it's like adds on a layer of guilt and shame, because why are you in pain if you're so comfortable?
When other people are going through
hell,
hell,
physical,
yeah.
material, financial, marital, whatever. hell, but somehow that serves their sole purpose and what serves humanity.
So
It's,
what is it about that situation that does that?
yeah,
We can look at that.
yeah,
Well,
it's trippy to get your head around, but you don't really have to get your head around it. That's the other trippy part. It's kind of not your business, right? None of it's, I don't know. I don't know.
well, think of it this way. Uh, the idea that you can get away from pain out there in the world, physical, the idea that you've got to be someone in the world that's worthy of love, all the way to running away from abusive parents or partner. There can be all sorts of reasons to go out there in the world of materialism to get away from dot 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 what, but that's an illusion. So people are born into this system. It doesn't matter what you do out there,
No,
because so there's a lot of people who are born into what you could call a comfortable life with the same problem. It's two sides of the same coin.
right.
You have materialism stripped from you so that you have to struggle to survive in all its forms, or be put into situations where that is, you have the opposite reality. When you look at each other, they see what they want, and it's easy to write off someone like you having struggling with emotional trauma as being irrelevant when you're on the
Right.
other side of the coin.
Yeah.
But the idea that those people have, and this is being used, social engineering is a massive part of what's playing out right now.
That
So
whole
India,
virtue signaling, that whole, oh, goodness
well, that
gracious.
they are deliberate. This strategy has been thousands of years old. So the whole history of India in the last few hundred years, China in the last couple of hundred years, has been about holding them back. So their middle class is very underdeveloped. They have a lot of poverty. They've had a lot of poverty and a lot of wealth, but nothing in between. Now suddenly flood them with manufacturing. All of a sudden, there's this huge amount of wealth. So these people who are at the other end of the coin, who saw who see materialism and being wealthy and having stuff as being the solution to the problem, are going rushing into it. And that was done deliberately so that there will be a whole lot of people who didn't want it to be true that this transition would take away all of that. They've got an investment in getting somewhere. So they were being used to manipulate the plan to make it an inevitable force. Didn't matter how many people were awake, they were going to flood it with people who just want it to be what it is.
Right.
They want the promise of what materialism would do to take them away from the pain they've been in for generations too. It's been
Right.
in their family system for a long time. There's a lot of imperative behind it. So a lot of people who are standing at the other end saying, "You won't find it here. It's not going to work."
Right.
And that's the whole reason the Buddha was part of the process the Nazarene
Oh,
went through.
yes. I love when you talk about the Buddha.
That's
Talk about
that's
the
that's
Buddha.
that in, his incarnation as the Buddha. That's the role that plays. So those three incarnations that the Nazarene had, the hawk that put the human race together and civilization together, the principles of civilization. Because mathematics is the language of the universe. Civilization flowers like a rose in its natural state. There's a natural state to how structures of civilization build up around how the houses are built, how the neighborhoods are put together, the social services, la da da da. The universal throughout the universe. All civilizations have their own version, but they follow the same process of sacred geometry. There's a natural state to it. Well, he oversaw all of that being put on this planet at the right level for this planet. Then he came as the Buddha after the inversion process to put
After
in,
the inversion?
400 or so years before the Nazarene turned up, he came as the
Oh,
Buddha. So well after Atlantis collapsed.
right.
So that process had been played out. The fear was played on by those of the interference, and uh, mythology was used to distort into religion, etc. And it had taken it, the polarity, polarizing people into conflict, had been really pushed big time. So he was born into India with this insane wealth to bring the
Insane
energy back.
wealth, like
Well,
access to
ridiculous,
anything,
ridiculous.
unfathomable wealth.
Yeah.
and none of it
He was
brought.
on top of the world of that reality, and but the direct experience of that lifetime is in the energy that went into the human race's collective consciousness. All three incarnations went into the collective consciousness when the Nazarene allowed himself to be executed, which he could have stopped at any time. That was the plan.
So the homeopathic dose, so the Nazarene took a homeopathic dose
The truth of who
into
we are.
the truth of who we are. So that was when even the Buddha's experience was dropped within
Yep.
humanity's consciousness,
Yes.
not until the Nazarene.
Because the Nazarene, the hawk, the Nazarene, the Buddha carry the full frequency of what God called the pioneers, the way that the planet was seeded, the galactic civilizations or the civilizations, the ET civilizations that contributed to their DNA, thousands of planets, thousands of civilizations did that created the biosphere, the different racial groups, etc. He calls them the pioneers, and the hominid that was fused with or mixed with was the original. He calls so the mix of the human race is the originals and the pioneers. So those three lifetimes contain the whole thing in its purest form.
Hmm.
And and think of think of the four cardinal directions. The first lifetime was who the truth of who we are. The last lifetime is the truth of who we are. And that middle lifetime is us coming back from the inversion to the truth of who we are. So they contain the entire experience of the human race. So those four cardinal directions
So that center one, us coming back to the truth of who we are, you mean coming back
from
from
inversion.
inversion, from the material,
Mhm.
obscene wealth and privilege and
Yes. Because
oh,
the first lifetime, the Nazarene as the hawk is an avatar, completely awake from beginning to end. As the Nazarene, he was an avatar, completely awake from beginning to end. A,
but
a
the Buddha
guru's
had to awaken.
A guru is different. So he contained the frequency necessary for us to flip from polarity being about conflict to come back into unity. But you need both ends of the polarity. You need to go through the illusion of separation and come back to unity. So that lifetime held our experience of the transition, what
Okay.
our experience is, but he connected it to the purity of the truth of who we are. And so it was way too powerful. So there are 3 points of the truth of who we are and only 1 point of the inversion within this energy that he took into the collective consciousness as the Nazarene, the homeopathic dose, contains
That
the whole thing, the
that
entire
that
transition.
that's more that brings the visual of T Om.
Exactly. Precisely. That's what it is,
I
the whole thing.
never, I've never understood it that way.
That's why God came as Tom T, balance on.
Now, when did the hawk come? And when we say hawk, we mean the big old bird.
For me, or you mean in
In gen, like, what is the hawk? I mean, Buddha is a human, Nazarene is human hybrid, hawk is an animal.
no, Hawk was just the moniker, the spirit, it describes the dynamic of
All
of
seeing, higher perspective
yeah, the
type
highest
thing.
perspective. It's a way to describe the sacred masculine, a being that holds the purest form of the sacred masculine in the universe is the Nazarene, the
I
hawk,
can't believe I never asked that in 3 years' time.
because they fly above, he flies above. It's not the eagle, that's God. It's the hawk, the son of God. The perspective that is the closest to the divine is the sacred masculine in its highest form, and that's what the Nazarene is. He's a physical expression of that in its high. He's the way God
So
put it.
what
He had all of the good from us.
the Nazarene,
Yeah.
right? So the hawk, the first incarnation, was there a physical element?
Yeah.
What,
Mhm.
a man?
Yes. A man, but now I haven't got to the point where I can remember the entire lives I've had in Atlantis, but the Arcturians, when they told me to go public, they showed me some stuff and they told me some things about it. But I don't have a recall of the form that he took. But one of the things that happened to me when I was a kid is looking at pictures of the Pharaoh Akhenaten and just going into a complete 5D trance. I could never see why. I still, I'm still not 100% sure what that's about, but it's something to do with this whole thing, the whole genetic line. So it could be that he had a lot of ET characteristics. It could be that he was purely ET, but human. Remember, there are ET races connected to us that look like us.
Right.
They look human. They just don't have the genetic diversity. So the Nordics, the whole race looks like that. The
Who?
tall blondes, the whole race looks like. These are different race, ET races that have different names.
Okay.
Whereas we have all of them and the hominid. Some of the ET races don't look as human as we do, but the genetics was brought into a form that is that looks this way.
Essentially human
Essentially. So whether the
appearing.
Nazarene look the same as us or there are differences, the elongated skull thing, perhaps, I'm not sure, to be honest. But the hawk thing just relates to the principle and the that he embodies,
Hmm.
which is the ability to see the entire picture.
So much of Egyptian pharaohs and Egyptian art does show the elongated skull,
Mm.
but it's not
Yeah,
clear for us if those are crowns or if they are indeed elongated skulls.
there are statues carved that have that, like Nefertiti, and there are the family around Akhenaten. You know, his son, of course, was Tutankhamun,
Mhm.
and that he brought in the knowledge of the one God. They had a pantheon of gods, which is a product of what happened after Atlantis too, by the way. The mythologizing of the galactic side of everything and what Atlantis was all about. We weren't able to mentally hold it in that sort of way we can now, like technically and logically, and it being about the natural world. So
Well,
we
isn't mythologizing part of the narrative as well? I mean, mythologizing everything makes us think all of these spectacular, wonderful, amazing, unthinkable things are not real, when in fact they are. I mean, I'd believe myths before I'd believe my social studies book.
Well, that's what this time's all about, is taking the myth out of superstition and religion and using it as an analogy. See, that we got lost in thinking it was real, like the Greek gods and pantheons, religious pantheons, where all the elements of life took on a form. You know, we can decode that now. Again, that's what this whole, in the end times, the book of life, decoding the book sealed until the end of time, that kind of thing. We have the ability to do that mentally. It's just got to be allowed in as that. And that's where they're trying to block out spirituality because that's what allows us to hold both.
We're quite miraculous.
Big time. Very. Yeah. Don't
I,
don't
s-
believe physicists who say, we think we're the center of the universe and really we're just insignificant little gnats and who cares? That's rubbish. That's absolutely
that's
rubbish.
rubbish. Yeah, I think Sam and I were talking earlier today, saying junk DNA. They tell us we have junk DNA. We're only using 10% of our brain. But there's an element of truth to that. I've heard you talk about that.
That's what happened post Atlantis. We were shut down to 10% of our capacity, which means how much life can we hold?
If this is 10% of our capacity, when
Hmm.
we're at 100, oh
That's
my
what's
God,
changing.
first thing I'm going to do is fly, and then I'm going to teleport.
Um, I'll be right next to you doing that.
I know.
But look, I mean, that's why everyone's feeling the way we are. It's not because what the deep state do is they play off our reactionaryism. So there's this massive change happening, and it's causing turbulence. We're used to relating to chaos in a certain way. It brings up fear of the unknown, self-doubt. So there's a reactionaryism and need to put a lid on it that they always have played off. That's why we've never been able to solve these problems. So that's what's changing now. Too many people are run out of road and disillusioned with everything. There's no solution
What
they can come up with that cuts it. So we're being held in this feeling, but that's why, because the
why
frequency's
do
rising, we're switching back on.
why do we feel so horrible? Why do we like are we changing from the inside out and
Yes.
literally have no understanding of it? Like these tears can't stop. This despair, this bleakness, this
Yeah.
black as pitch. Like how is that serving anything?
Well, look at it this way. When you're a child, you may not have the mental sophistication to hold the truth of who you are, but the inversion process isn't strong enough either. So that there's before the age of 9, particularly, or yeah, there's they're almost equal. They're very the tension between this inversion process taking over a child and the truth of who they are. The clash between them expresses itself
Yeah.
through like they'll feel it and they'll express it. Now we get treated badly, so we shut it down and we suppress it. Excuse
Bless
me.
you.
Um, but that's the root cause of a lot of the subconscious. That child that we were back then still within us because it's unresolved. So a lot of this feeling is that coming out is the pattern that's causing the distortion being released.
Yeah, because every time I talk to my friends, whatever, about how I'm feeling, well, ask yourself why. Ugh, I have been asking myself why for years. I don't get answers. I don't understand.
Well, for instance, in your case, let's put this out there. If this is personally my feeling, I've known you for a while now, and I've been doing this for a long time. So my personal feeling is just like the kid, that those behavior patterns are a call for help. There's a problem here. Please follow the line of behavior back to its core source. I don't have the capacity, but you're an adult, you do. Instead of that's not what happens. So this feeling is like a radar picture when you know how to read it. So how much of this feeling is yours and how much of it comes through the family system? It's bringing it up to the surface until you find the right answer that fits the scenario, which is what you've been doing. So to me, it highlights the fact that this most of what you're feeling isn't yours
But it sure
because that's
feels
what
like
happened when we
it.
were kids. The problem was never ours either. So it's that problem expressing itself so that we can see it.
I
It's
want to
just
see it
getting clear.
now. I want to get clear right now. I want to see it right now.
Well, fly to Australia and do a family system constellation
That's not
workshop.
happening.
No. Well, we'll fly there and do it.
Yep,
We just
that's
have to wait for the
more
financial
likely.
situation to transform. But that's the kind of thing that happens. There is a reason for it. And when you're stuck in a situation where you don't know what it is, but you need it to change and you're not deluding yourself that you know, there's only one thing that can happen. The truth will come to you. And everything that's happening between that moment and this one is about removing everything that's in the way.
Yeah.
So that when you are there, you recognize it. Because I
Hmm.
can guarantee you, if that solution had showed up 3 years ago, you wouldn't have recognized it. You would have
Nope.
deflected, you wouldn't have valued it for what it was.
Absolutely not.
That's the same thing.
It's so funny. I do have the higher perspective of it all. And Lindsay just said she's let go of the why. She always wanted to know why. And it all just is. I don't need to know why anymore. And it ebbs and flows, my need to know why. Sometimes I absolutely surrender. I'm like, well, you're not going to know why. So why ask why? But at the same time, like it's like I'm being held God, I wish I was being held in cryo for another year or two. But I mean, it's like I'm being held in cryo. It's like I've told you before, it's like I'm the walking dead. Like the opposite of reactionaryism is apathy. And there is such a level of I don't give a fuck that I feel icy cold. I feel detached. I feel I just don't care.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, your motivations are protection in all things. So asking the question why, it depends where it's coming from. There's value in it coming from the desperation of needing to fix the problem, but you're not ready to yet. And being aware that there's a gap, being aware that there's a solution, but you just can't see it yet. Now your radar's out. You're looking, there's a part of you that's scanning experience where you're at. And that's got to be there too. It's a different motive behind it. So the reason why nothing can exist without its counterpart in duality. That's just the nature of duality. So there's a problem with the solution. That's just the nature of reality. So when you're open to the solution, that question why is more about connecting those two together in unity and not letting your belief system get in the way of that process. That's why disillusionment is a great place to be, because even if you do think you've got, oh, that's it, but you're still like, when it doesn't connect, you just let it go. So the solution has to be real, but you're looking for it. That's the key. So that question's still there. And curiosity for life, that's there's a divine order that's the whole nature of the mind. Is to explore the nature of the all it is. So there's a
Yeah.
curiosity to life, but we get taught to be afraid and doubt. So that's really what we mean by just stop needing to know why. Stop needing to know why for that reason to cure the doubt and the fear. That's true. That's wisdom in that. But there's a divine order version, just duality, that the curiosity for life as love. That's a whole other thing. That's what lets you experience it. So at the moment, you're using that the recognition as a gap, a knowledge deficit, to hold the space so that what is true can come into it. And
Yeah.
self-doubt is
It's a hard place to be to hold
yeah,
that.
the
It's a
self-doubt's
really hard when you've been a lover of life, the joy of life was, I mean, I was the very picture of the joy of life. I mean, Mike says he's feeling the apathy too. It's so different. And it's so different. It's not anyone I ever was. And it's why I want to go into cryo. Like, just put me to sleep till this shit is over, dude. And it's not like I shy away from hard work. I'm one of the hardest workers I know. And I don't even mean in the old paradigm way. I mean, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well.
yes.
And I just I'm crawling out of my skin. I'm
You just
crawling
can't
out of my
feel
skin. I can't.
it. Yeah, you can't feel it. But that's yeah, I don't know how to put it. Something popped up when you said that, and I'm just trying to get it back.
Yeah, I know. We keep forgetting all these things we want to say or things that we did say that we want to remember. It's all just like disappearing. Um, Someone said to me, I don't understand how people know or can predict what is going to happen and when it will happen, since it depends on the collective and there are so many timelines playing out. I get that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like everyone's masquerading as the one who knows, and it's
Mm.
exhausting. Like you know things from your direct experience, but I think you'd be the first to say, this is my direct experience. Don't take what I say as,
Yeah, don't
gospel
take my
or
word
truth.
for it. Well, you go find
Mm,
out for yourself. That's
For
the whole
yourself.
point.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Direct experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I can speak from direct experience confidently of, but there's a lot that I don't know as well. I mean, there's this stuff's playing out in real time. A lot of what I've been shown, God said to me, it's not good to give all the answers, and everything the Arcturians have said and everything God said. has been about setting up, look in this direction. For instance, you said the last thing God said to me was Australia is the future. And like I said, that was in 5D. So all I had in front of me was a face with expressions as God spoke. And the face just went like this sideways and looked at me like the eyebrows up. So with a little smile, like a dolphin smile. So I'm watching what's playing out here right now with China trying to take over, knowing that it won't work. And there's a template forming out of it. It's like it's breaking something. What's happening here is kind of important for some reason. So but I don't know exactly what that
Right,
looks like yet. But I'm watching it play out in real time.
right.
Like when the Arcturians this start of this year said that you aren't in the year in the same situation you began it. Here are certain months to look out for. September, December. There's a couple of key
Yeah.
months. Keep your eye on them. See if you can pick what it is.
Yeah, I think I remember March, September, and December were really big months for
Yeah.
you prophetically at the beginning of the year. I remember you saying that, and you were spot on.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, they did it the year Russia went into Ukraine was what it was March. Well, in I think November the previous year, they highlighted that coming year and they called March the pivot point. They said, look for March. I can't remember what year that was, 22, was it? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
It won't be what the media is saying, pivot point. So I knew when Russia went into Ukraine, it wasn't what the media was saying. It was about the transition playing out. It was a big event. So
That
they got
was, yeah, that was probably 23, 20.
23 maybe.
Well, yeah, yeah. So it was October 7th,
What?
that Russia invaded Ukraine.
October. Was it October? Or, okay, well, sorry. It was whatever month they went into. They highlighted it in red, put a white dot in the center, and called it the pivot point.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't contradicting what you were saying. I was saying that was the month they said it won't be what the media makes it out to be, and that was October.
Yeah, they've done it a few times, but it's a way to keep your eye on this space and watch it play out in real time because it's not just about the information; it's about your ability to connect with it. So it pulls up into your awareness, your heart connection, so that you get more. You come back to yourself more. You take the intuition seriously. It's not just random. It's not just wishful thinking. It's not just all the way people explain away the because it puts you in it makes you want to move in directions that you can't logically define why yet.
Yeah.
And
There's
that's
no
that's
blueprint for this. We don't know what we're doing. There's nobody, I mean, you said they're the pioneers, but right now I feel like we're the pioneers. Like this is uncharted territory. We're all going bonkers.
well, we got the pioneers are within we are a mix of
Right.
the original and the pioneer. Yeah, absolutely. And it is that's this transition's never happened this way in the history of the universe. That's pretty amazing.
That's very amazing. Like when people say, this is an extremely exciting time to be here. Like you're here. You didn't only choose to be here, you were chosen. Like that's awesome. That's the cheerleading we all need. But there's a level of I don't have any idea what that means. But
No, and that's another thing that when I was told that we could have populated the planet Earth tens of thousands of times over for the number of souls who wish to be here for this experience, that made me look at people, no matter where they
Ooh.
sit on the spectrum of idiot to awake. We have a lot of judgment about everyone out there, and it's hard to take, but that puts a picture around the whole thing,
That
doesn't
puts us all of us on the spectrum as absolute warriors.
it? So
Absolute. And I don't mean war, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Absolute, like, whoa, you are the cream of the crop.
It's just that their life purpose in serving the transition has a particular dynamic to it, and yours has a particular dynamic, and they're different. But the point they meet at, the whole human race, the human race transitions needs all of those points to participate. So people need to be born into lives that represent different starting points within this inversion. But the fact that they will take that and refine it into reality, the truth of who we are, is a given. So when you see it that way, it doesn't mean you're not reacting. It doesn't mean it doesn't make it hard when you're in traffic and walking down the street. It doesn't mean that all that's not going to be there. Absolutely, let it be there. Let the judgment be there. But then you've got a big picture context that lets it have a place in the transition, that frees you from some of that feeling of hopelessness. Maybe it's not what I'm thinking. Maybe it's part of the reason why this is happening. That's what I'm talking about, getting the mind out of the way so that your heart connection has a place to come up and up and up into your awareness. So that after a while, you see through these patterns to a point where it doesn't affect you in the same way anymore. And this is the only way to do it, going through what all of us are going through right now. It's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's handy to have those have that sort of these big picture contexts have a role in helping ordinary people deal with stuff they've never had to deal with before.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I look at every single person now and I just love them. I love them so much I can't stand it. Even if they drive me crazy, I
Yes.
love them so madly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's room for both, you know. And okay, sure. When I say something like that, everyone's life purpose is serving the transition, no matter what it looks like to us. We're just allowing room and we're phoning it in because we feel the opposite a lot of the time with our family and all the friends that dumped us and the angry people yelling at us. Or, I mean, wherever they're at now. That's what we feel, and we're just allowing room for that to be there, even though we can't feel it necessarily. But that's how you get there. Allowing room for the truth to exist is the only way to come into direct experience of it. And it's a process you can't control. And every event in your life is serving that without exception. That's the book sealed until the end of time. Reading the pattern and the code of that. It's like dream imagery. Same thing. There is a way to do
Oh
it. It takes
yeah.
time. It takes time, but there's a language that it's speaking to you through this. It's God talking to you this way, this way.
Yeah. I had three dreams in one night, 3 nights ago. It was crazy. I woke up and wrote them all down. Like I can go years without recalling dreams and then I can have plenty of dreams. But they were
So
off the hook this week. Yeah.
is anyone in the chat having psychic dreams? That'd be an interesting thing
Like
because
prophetic, like
yeah, they've kind of got a different quality to them. We call them mana, and I call them psychic dreams. It's the same we get when we're awake, but it's
it's like downloads while you dream.
more detail. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Athena was saying she just has downloads of her higher self. Just like, because, I mean, aren't our future higher simultaneous selves informing us all the time and healing us and assisting us in every moment?
It's really when you say you're only operating at 10%, well, where's the other 90%? That's what we relate to as our higher self. That's divide and conquer. We're separated from the truth of who we are. So we relate to it from this viewpoint as an external thing. So it's the higher self. So yeah, but ultimately the gap between that perspective and us is closing because it is us. It's
It
just
is,
as
right?
the frequency rises, we can hold more and more of us, which means it's displacing the inversion. So that's why we're all feeling this way. This frequency war coming to a head after 3i Atlas turned up. That's next year the dynamic shifts a lot because the deep state's ability to pull off this crap is eroding fast.
The deep state. The trippy part is, though, it's all God.
Darkness serves a purpose, he told me. You
It's
know.
all God. Like without exception, it's all God.
Mhm.
So we
It's
talk
a
about
tough
the
one to get
deep
your head
state pulling off shit. It's like we're talking about God pulling that shit. Like it just it trips you out.
well, free will, the freedom. Um, think of the one that fell as an idea about self. There's an idea about self that we can be separate from God. That the illusion of free will, if it's taken too far, can lead you to an egomaniacal perspective of that. That's really what the one that fell represents. But it's a mental object. In other words, like a thought, when we talk about the shadow self, the shadow world, the shadow dark, it implies that there's an object between the source of light and the shadow. Well, what is the object? It's a thought. It's an idea. The ego is an idea about who we are that serves the truth of who we are. And that idea is constantly being refined. This is the principle. When God said that once this inversion process is done, he said, then life may return to that which we always intended. And this is what it means. The ego, the thought I, it is an object. It's a thought of objectivity. It's a perspective. It's an idea. So it forms an object. But it's because it's in service to self, it's like it's of the light. It's the
Right.
same thing. It's coming from the light. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
casting a shadow in the same way. It's receiving. It's not in the way. It's receiving life. So what happens is the idea of who you are gets more and more refined. That's the principle. You become more able to discern yourself in more detail. When you're a kid, you don't have that yet. The principle of the thought I, when you come in at two, it's to build up this discernment around that perspective. The truth of who we are is the truth of where we are, and you get more able to discern it. So you can speak from that as that, which is Ramana Maharshi, the Nazarene, the Buddha. They're speaking from themselves to themselves. There's a purity, a direct connection. But
So,
getting your mind to that point,
oof,
that's the flow of life, and that's the natural state. You don't have to do it. It's just the way life happens. Now, we have to get the inversion out of the way first.
right,
So that
right.
same process is about getting all the pain and suffering up.
So what is the big spiritual thing I am? What does that
I
entail,
am
mean? I mean, if you're saying I am, I mean, that sounds egoic, but it's not.
the way the this is tricky to get across. However, the I am the I am. So the principle that Ramana spoke about is I am that which is, that you can't name. That which is everything. That's who I am. So the
Right.
ego's ability to discern its source, it makes it redundant almost. The I that is isn't in the mind, it's in the consciousness the mind arises in. And when the
Right.
mind recognizes that, ego involvement agenda disappears.
Takes it back. Well, disappears entirely? Or because I mean, the ego
Oh,
served a purpose to protect and keep us alive and all of those things.
it
But it
stops
got out
being,
of whack. It got out
yes,
of priority.
that's what I mean. It stops being the center of gravity, the center of self. It's not. It's an extension of the consciousness that the mind arises in. It's just the thought about consciousness, but pure isness itself. You are, I am, it is. That's all you can really say about it. Everything
Hmm.
else, that's what's real, isness itself. Everything else is the illusion of separation, which allows that which is to explore itself. That's it. That's what I saw when I was two. It's one
Right.
frequency appearing in separate form so that we can have the direct experience of all the potential that the divine can take. That's the whole purpose of
Well,
the
that's
illusion.
that's where that one friend of mine who was really mad at God was saying, so we're in essence God's puppets to learn more for God, and we're in this suffering state all the time, and and like I understood where her frustration was coming from, but you have something to
Well,
say
that's
about
not
that.
the case. I know it feels like that, but that's free will can't exist in that framework. The whole point of free will, we are free to choose anything, and we chose without realizing the ramifications or the choice. We chose to have a set of experiences that this world has been created from. And now we're coming to the realization that we chose it and we can unchoose it.
Yeah,
Emotional
I think emotional reaction here. I think, yeah, I think she might be arguing or misunderstanding or being confused about, which I get confused about,
Everyone does.
that we
Oh,
chose
don't
this.
worry.
Like if we don't have any memory of this, if all of our earthly consciousness is on earthly, like our conscious, it's subconscious, or it's the truth is within us, but we're not conscious to it. So the idea that we chose all of this inversion is a big one.
Now, this is why, okay? It isn't true that we were born with amnesia.
Right.
That's not the case. It feels like that.
Yeah.
And the choice to go into this wasn't made in this paradigm. It was made at the Atlantean age when we knew who we were. We just went into desire. That's where the choice was made. So we had to, as a race, experience the ramifications of that choice to go into pure physicality through the desire, through desire. Sexual desire was the big one.
Hmm.
That's what was manipulated by those of the interference. Because of the physical density of this planet, the female expression of the love of all that is was the most intensely beautiful. So that was manipulated. So we went into the negative side of desire, lust,
Yep.
which distorts love. It
Yep.
becomes about getting off, not
Yes.
about love. And the energy
It's
exchange is not equal, it's out of balance. So we had to experience the masculine and feminine out of balance. That's the
it's why so many of us, when we awaken, we essentially have, and this is going to be an agenda term, but we're kind of prudes. Like promiscuity and gratuitous sex and that type of lascivious, what's the word? Lascivious behavior is nauseating. It is uncomfortable. Things I used to find humorous or cute or like not, nope, that's not cute. That's not
Yeah.
funny. The way I behaved in my youth, like, nope, not funny. And
Yeah.
so therein lies my reconciling who I was with who I now am and having like regrets out the wazoo and knowing at the same time I love her. Like little Katie, young Katie, 25-year-old Katie, so loving, so funny, so sweet, so curious. But the behaviors,
Mm.
ah, what was I doing?
Right.
Like, so it's this weird, it's this weird place. Like I am a prude. I'm not amongst all of you. You all get it. But if I were to go around, say, my
Yeah.
family, and again, this is assumption, but I've known them for 55 years, so I think I can speak from history and
Experience.
experience. If I went around my family, my own child, my relatives, my friends, their humor is gross. Their humor is sarcastic. Their humor is mean. It's not funny. It's uncomfortable. But I wasn't before. I used to be like the most voracious watcher of horror films and murder, murder, murder. Like, bring it on. I mean, sometimes I still do it just to like escape and like numb out my experience. But everything's feels so gross now.
Yeah.
I can't
Well,
laugh at that stuff.
and that's a part of waking up. And being sensitive is a big reason why a lot of people have chosen the transition, all of us in that category, because we're very sensitive. So we run out of road faster. We can't tolerate the inversion for as long as people who are not as sensitive, let's say. It's
Hmm.
a personality type thing. And part of that sensitivity is the ability to feel sexuality is quite strong. So it's an element. It's a thing within this process for spiritual people getting a handle on spirituality. Sexuality is a big part of it. That's why David Deida is one of the four pillars of the transition. Getting a handle on the nature of masculine principle in right relationship to the divine principle, feminine principle, which gets to it helps you look at satsang, it helps you look at Byron Katie, it helps you look at family system constellation work. They all help each other to look at the perspective of satsang gives you another connect. When you join them all together, you see more about each one of them. It's quite interesting. Um, but on the forgetting thing, it isn't that we have amnesia, it's that we're not allowed to form around our heart connect. See, we're born knowing everything. That's
Everything.
there. That's not the problem. Our heart connection, we know it all. We know when we need to step forward. We know exactly how to make the right choice. When we know what the right choice is when we're in that flow. The problem is our mind isn't allowed to form around it. It's instead we're put into a situation when we form around the fear of the unknown. And
Why
so
have they pushed the narrative of the amnesia on us? Because everyone believes it.
because they're trying to, well, look, for some people that's the only context they can put it in because they don't know that there's a natural state.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
big thing that's been missing. The
It
truth
is
of
a big thing that is missing. Even
the
people
truth
I
of who
love to listen to don't understand that there is a truth of who you are and a natural state of
yeah,
being. They
that's
don't
it.
get
That's
it.
why God said, what is the problem we face? The ego that controls, people know about that. Lack of a belief in an absolute reality. That's what he's talking about. You don't need anything or anyone. You are already
No,
that.
no.
That
And
you
there are
are.
so many who think we're going to be healing for the next 100 years. I'm like,
No.
no, we're not. It's going to be like a light switch. It's going to
Again, they
be,
don't. It's just about their belief system and the context they can frame everything in based on what they're aware of now.
why frame it? Leave it
Well,
open-ended. Oh my God. To tell all of us who are struggling in this whatever, even if it's self-imposed hell, to tell us all 100, 200 years, like maybe in your lifetime, fuck, what are you even talking about lifetime? That's not even a thing.
no, I mean, that's not how it works. But again, being willing not to know and being willing to hear all of these different perspectives that are playing out right now and stand back from it at the same time. Like ring like a bell when different things are said, and also, keep that question: what's the real truth there? Because again, it's not about their experience or where they're coming from or what they see. You'll get bits of, you're putting a bit puzzle together. So parts of what you're catching in other people, there might be just a sentence they say or the way they phrase something. So it's not about their whole picture they're describing. There might be something there that kind of fits with you. But the ultimate goal is to get your heart connection up into your awareness so that you don't have the issue. It's about
Mhm.
your own direct experience. So
Mhm.
holding the question while all this is happening, the hardest thing to do and the most powerful thing to do, because you've got a space where that happens now. It's just that space, instead of growing up pure as a kid, that space, no problem whatsoever, and there's no conflict. Your mind just forms around it. But that space has been filled for decades, for our lifetime, with inversion, with
Yeah.
reactionaryism, with fear, with doubt, with a story about the unknown that has to have its day in the sun. That story has to be allowed to be there. And the feeling, reactionaryism that it generates, because that's where it really comes from. The story we spin around the gap in our life that we always have. We're not even aware of it in those terms. But
Mm-mm.
when you come into a situation where you have no clue what to do, you have no clue what the problem is, but the problem is so big you can't get away from it, you're forced into the gap with the question, what's the truth?
I think that's a problem a lot of us, sorry to speak for all of you, but I think that's a problem a lot of us have with being around people not on the path or not aware. It's not judgment of them. It's that there's such, okay, like for instance, for example, my mother going to my sister's for football or going to a friend's or whatever. There's a level of discomfort in me with things that are being said or laughed at that nobody else can see but me, or that these people, everyone on the call or watching, whatever. Like there's such a disconnect of why is Katie so sensitive? Why is Katie not like like it appears I'm judgy or weak or
Why does it matter
just
so much to her? It doesn't really matter to us. That
it
kind of
didn't
thing.
used to matter, or holding me to who I used to be. It didn't used to matter to her. What's wrong with her? I'm the weird one in the room now. So it's not even that we don't want to be around people. It's that
The capacity to.
the capacity to, the lack of understanding of what I'm going through. Like my mother is the first to admit she can't understand why I see everything as black and I don't want to live and I don't want to be here, which we all know is the false Katie. We don't need to get into that. But she doesn't understand it, yet I live it in every single moment. So I can't do these things I used to do because even my mother, who is my biggest supporter, can't get a grasp of it. And I've said things to her that I haven't said to any of my family or friends. Like I'm talking in circles, but do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's such a frequency divide. There's such a, that when I have discomfort of the thing, like I'm outnumbered in the comfort level, they'll all be watching and laughing at the same exact thing that is absolutely horrifying me. So it's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Now, I mean, what's going on there, the way I see it, um, well, again, getting judgment out of the way of discernment is a big thing, which involves contrast. And this whole thing's built on the idea that polarity's nature is conflict when it's unity. So our belief system is riddled with that mismatch because that's how we've experienced things as we've grown up. We've had to resolve one problem by getting rid of its opposite, and that doesn't work. So that's why we run out of road. But the other
Mhm.
thing is when you stop this, because remember you've hit the wall, you've got a big problem, you don't know what it is. What you're doing when you ask the question, essentially you're going inward. You're reflecting on self-reflection, and it takes a lot of energy, a lot of energy. So your headroom, firstly, you're able to discern the difference between um, what's moving in the right direction and what's moving in the wrong direction with life. The way people think, the way they operate. There's an awareness that there's a clash between that and who you are because you're reflecting. It takes a lot of energy, so your headroom to tolerate that is less. So you need to pull back for a while and give yourself time.
Yeah, I keep thinking like I'm not trying to judge what they're laughing at and comfortable with. I just remember laughing and being comfortable with it, so it makes me uncomfortable. Like
Right.
I feel like I'm going to be able to reemerge into
You would
society. But I also have the question of, is there going to be a time where it's too late and nobody will accept me back? I mean, there's that too. I don't know if that's fear. I can't tell.
Oh, well, that's see what's really happening is all the Katies from the past are catching up to now. That's why you're being held in this situation. The clash between you, this clash between where they're at and where you feel you're at is really the clash between the truth of who a child is and the inversion process while it's happening. So there's lots of you locked up in the past that you don't have the words to describe because you didn't
Mm,
at the time. It's
yeah.
just a feeling that's being brought up constantly. So that intensity is part of the process, but that emotional energy is finite. It's
Yeah, I
contained
know.
within, it's
When
not,
you told me that, that made me so happy.
yeah, it's a judgment of a feeling. It's
Yeah.
not really because we're in it. Something happens that we don't understand, and we have to lock it away. It gets locked away until we do, because it's the fundamental nature of the universe is it's one energy appearing as separate form that resolves itself back into one energy through a self-aware life. So this
Mhm.
process gets in the way of that, which means there's a part of us that's not resolved, and that can't happen. The universe always it's always a self-resolving
It's
system,
a self-correcting universe.
self-correcting,
I said
self-resolving.
that the other day when I don't get mad or outraged or reactive to anything that happens on the outside because this is a self-correcting universe, including me. Like whatever shit I've done or will do or say or think, this is a self-correcting universe.
And
It's
that's the bit you don't control. It's
yeah.
thinking that you know what needs to happen and trying to do it that gets in the way of that. When you take your hands off the wheel, in metaphorically speaking, in other words, you stop believing everything your mind's telling you about what's happening. This process is exactly what happens automatically. Suddenly, you're open to resolving everything from the past. So when you're in these situations, when we're all in these situations where we're dealing with this discrepancy, that's really what's happening. This emotional energy that's locked away in the past is being released. So there's more of us online. That's very important because those bits of you that are locked away, are locked in the past, are parts of your conscious awareness. So there's less of you online to discern what's happening. And the consciousness you do have online is very wrapped up in that old story. So that's all
That
you know.
bring Exactly. That's all you know for a while. That brings up Lindsay's question earlier was how can we get the ego in service to self more online instead of the ego that controls? You just answered it right there.
That's
Basically,
exactly how.
we're when we have the
You're
question,
doing
that's
it.
exactly what we're doing.
You're already
With
doing it.
having the question, asking the question, observing from the higher perspective, non-reaction, we're doing it.
Well, feeling uncomfortable in this world the way it is a sign that you're coming back to yourself. Because the world the
Yes.
way it is the opposite to the way it needs to be for us to be fully here. We can't be
Yes.
fully present in this reality because it's designed to stop that. But we get pulled out of ourselves so young, we have no reference point for that. We go into that world so much we've invested in it until we can't. But it's all we've ever known. So we
Mm-hmm.
relate to this. So you're in a situation where you're at Christmas with your family. You feel obligated because if you don't know, if you don't go, it's just going to get worse. So you go just because you want them to shut up. And then you're there, you're enduring the whole thing because they're light years away from where you are and you don't feel any way. There's nothing for you to connect to. That's uncomfortable because it's the same feeling you had when you were 6 or 3 or 4. So you don't know the words to put to it, just like you didn't back then.
Mhm.
But like I said, at some point that shifts. There's less emotional energy caught up in the past, which means there's more of you full. There's a big thing Ramana said a lot. The key is to be fully present in the living moment. Well, what does he mean? Well, there's too much of us stuck in the past unresolved as kids. We bring that into the future by saying, what's the truth? That's the path of enlightenment that's really all it is. Keep that question there while your mind goes through experiences that disentangle it from where you put your attention gets disentangled from the belief system pulling your attention into a train of thought. It gets easier not to do that. It's really hard at the start.
Yeah, it's
And
really hard
feeling,
at the start.
that's it. And the feeling, the emotional energy that makes that belief system run as fast as it does gets dissipated. It's got less fuel.
Yeah.
And there's more of you to discern what's happening. Now, that means, like I said, you start picking up. Suddenly, you'll pick up a phrase someone said and it'll stick in your mind and you won't know exactly why, but you'll light up with it. And then something else will happen and they'll connect. And slowly the alternative picture starts to form. Now, the ego that controls is going to fight back through this process because that's why it's losing its grip. Because that's the last thing, what destroys the ego that controls is a mental structure that is not that. In other words, a way of seeing things, of describing them. God told me it's important to name it. It's important to name the pain that's running you, but it's important to have that because then you can discern what's really there. What are you really seeing? You'll be able to see through your family the distortion to their heart because you've seen through your own distortion to you.
Right.
And the way Ramana put it is when you know your own mind, you know all minds. So
Yes.
you don't get
Yes.
lost in
I
this.
I love that, but we did talk this week, you and I said, I don't know, I'm going on 5 years of being uncomfortable around almost all other humans, even awakened ones. I'm going on 5 years of being that weird hermit cat lady with the Christmas tree up year round. And I did say
Sorry
to
to
you,
laugh.
it's
Sorry to laugh.
no, it's true. I did say to you, I do think there is such a level, I have such insane and uncomfortable sensitivity to so much that as the outside world crumbles, and not that I want to rely on the external to fix or heal or do my inner work for me. That's not it at all. What I'm saying is I have such a high level of sensitivity that as that outside world crumbles, I think it's when my comfort level with family and friends will even out some.
Exactly.
It's
That's
like
true.
related to the external, but not contingent on the external. It's a little hard to articulate that, but like right now, I'm 5 years in and I'm not doing Thanksgiving. I'm not doing Christmas. I'm staying home all by myself in my jammies. Like I'm
Hmm.
not attending. It's too uncomfortable. But like I said to you, as everything out there, as truth comes more and more and more to the surface, I get more comfortable within me.
Exactly.
But isn't that kind of like outsourcing my own healing? Isn't
No,
that
it's if you
okay?
want to change the world around you, change the world within you first, because that's how it happens. The reason our civilization physically is transforming, the reason those of the interference are losing control and it's showing up physically is because so many of us spend so long looking within and reflecting. That's the neo process.
Oh, so that inner work
Is
that
why
I
the
have
world's
been in
changing.
for the 5 years is why there is no judgment or shame on watching that crumble and getting
Yep.
comfortable because I've
Yes.
done that work
Yes.
to be
Now it's
able
showing up in
to,
the physical.
and now it's showing up in the physical because of everything we've all done. So
The
it's not
Arcturians,
my own weakness.
no, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
That's the whole doing, the
Oh, I
doing
got
paradigm.
goosebumps.
They want us stuck in doing. There's two
Yes.
sides of the coin of doing. We're born as pure beings. I am that I am. Nothing to do or be. That's the natural state. The mind forms around that. Need to get a chance, we go into doing. You have to be somebody other than that in order to be valued. So now you've got to be the one who does. You've got to do something. Being is about doing. It's about what you do. Now I can be respected or loved because I've done whatever, or I've failed miserably. Depending how good you are at that. Then you hit the wall and you go on doing being. You've lost yourself, so you get into spirituality, but it's still doing. We're still trying to. We still get easily pulled into these stories around AI and the 2030 agenda, and the solution is to go out there and change everybody. And look, yes, stand in the truth of who you are. I mean, the Nazarene was all about doing that too, and that's going to have an impact on the outside world, but you can't do that unless you're looking at yourself within. How is that playing out within us? How's that story out there that's getting in everybody's way of seeing reality? How's that playing out within us? Get a handle on that first. Otherwise, we
Yeah.
can't help anyone. For starters, you can't help anyone deal with something you haven't dealt with yourself. But
Yeah.
also, physicality is a secondary thing to spirituality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Spirituality comes first. So you get clear on the truth of who you are, the energy of that. The way the Arcturians put it, all the lines of connection connecting them to you also connect you to them. So by taking this on, the impact of the fear and what they're trying to do, the reactionaryism, the way they're using the media to amplify the doom and gloom thing and the
Mm.
reactionaryism, and we feel like we've got to do more, and it really plays on us because we can't, and we blah 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 blah. Like having the question, yeah, but is that really true? Within all of that, kills them dead like nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Destroys it from the inside. It all works on light. If we withdraw our light, our awareness is, like I said, your attention gets pulled into the story of the mind. Before you know it, you've run off into you don't even know it's happening. You think it's you. Same thing out there. Our attention gets pulled out. But if you keep pulling it back to
Mm.
the reality is you don't know what the truth is. And you
Yeah.
don't know what's the best way to handle it. That's the only reality you can really count on right now is you don't know the full truth. You stay in that, it kills everything that isn't of the truth.
And I've stayed in that for a very long, 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 long
Mhm.
time. I've
That's why
stayed
the
in that.
emergence. It's why it's inevitable. The human race reached critical mass to wake up to the truth of who we are, no
Hmm.
matter what. Free will
Hmm.
has to be honoured
Hmm.
in 1997. Ever
I
since
know.
then, and now this is what happens. How do you destroy their ability to operate the financial system, to pull off 2030 for the UN to work properly, human trafficking not to be exposed, organised crime, blah 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 blah. How do you get all that out so it stops working? This is how you do it. It all works off spiritual energy. Without that, it can't exist. And that's exactly what's happening. Those of the interference, the reason they need blood and organs is because they're physically breaking down.
Ugh, disgusting.
Mm. and they have no way. And the healing tech
and
won't work
and
for them.
yeah, right, for that, not
If
for
they don't
them.
know.
The reactionaryism, the fear, the rage, the combat, the competition, the division, all of that is loosh, correct?
Mhm. The leash is our spiritual energy. It's our your soul purpose, your energy is the leash. By giving your creative energy, your the whole purpose of your being to this false system, you're an asset. You're a liquid asset.
Yes,
And
yes.
emotional it runs off emotional reactionaryism. So that's energy in motion, but it's the inversion of it. Reactionaryism isn't how energy moves. This isn't how emotional energy moves. It's emotional energy is a love of all it is coming through the illusion of separation back to the love of the all it is and receiving it. It's this constant infinite loop of love, experiencing itself as love. That's what energy is, our creative energy. The inversion turns it into reactionaryism. That's what runs the whole thing. Without problem, reaction, solution. Their
Mm,
solution can't exist. The reaction's where it lives and dies. When you stop reacting,
mm.
keep reacting. Keep believing the same story, keep reacting. Absolutely. But now what Tom said, what God said, add a fifth element, spirituality, which is I don't really know the truth. Now, spirituality, the reality of what animates everything, has a way to show up, which is
Mm.
love. Everything is love. Your
Everything
love
is
of
love.
self, your love of life has to be met through your hatred of self and hatred of other and fear of self and doubt
Hatred
of
of
self and
life.
all the judgments of others have to be brought out by that
Yeah,
question of truth. And
yeah.
that's all you can see for a while.
I've often said that to you that my apathy is the opposite of the joy of life that I know I possess.
Exactly. Now, how do you get back to it? You can't will it away.
No.
You've got to be
If I
willing
could
to
will
let
it away, I'd be the happiest person in the room.
Yeah, but you've got to be willing to let that story not be the truth without knowing
Yeah.
what it without but
And I do.
feeling the need to know what the truth is, but not being able to kid yourself you've got it. So you've got a gap. I don't know that that's the truth, but I don't know what is. And it is hard to tolerate some days.
Oh,
It's a lot, but it's releasing all of the energy that's been stuck within us that's powered this whole inversion. And the effect that that's having on the system around us is killing it
so
fast.
I usually laugh. So not working and not moving and not doing and not watching is serving everybody. So my inherent ability
Guilt.
to stay still for great long periods of time is a service to humanity. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, the guilt and obligation thing is sewn into kids at an early age, and that's a
Gosh,
lot
I
of the
know.
time feminine to being.
My son is so just shackled to not taking time off from work and not being late and da 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 da. And I'm just like, buddy, I wish you knew how much you value that more than they value you. Live your life, take all the time you're given. Oh my God. I'm like, I'll pay you to go to Europe for a month. Go, please.
Yeah, right. And but see, as much as you tell him that, he can't hear it until he can.
No,
And
I
the only
know.
that's but no, I mean, you know that, but I'm it's just explaining something, pardon me, that's important for people to get because families are a system. The reason what I just said is working is because the whole human race is a system, and everything that comes from us is a part of that system. So when you change anything within the system at this scale, the whole system has to conform to that change. That's why the inversion process is being reversed. Everything that the civilization supports the inversion has to be transformed into what serves the inversion. It's serving the inversion process, and it'll be transformed into a system that can serve the truth of who we are. So the financial system, all of it is going to be put into a form that works because of this process. Well, it's the same thing within families. That's why I know you've been dealing with the same problem for years and it hasn't moved. I know that it's not yours, it's within the family system because there's a way to discern the difference. We had to hold it for long enough so that ability to discern where's this really coming from was here. Now, because of that process, it's clear now that that's what's happening. It makes it simple. So we
Mm.
can deal with the problem when the time's right. Now, two things have happened there. Firstly, I can say that to you because I'm a lot clearer on it now. But secondly, you're at the right point to be able to have that constellation happen,
Yeah,
resolve the problem, bring the problem out, and then reverse it. And you step into the experience of being in a family system without that problem there. That can happen at a much higher level, much because you've been willing to hold the question so deeply that you've got a way to receive the answer at that level. That's why
that
it's worth doing.
that's exactly what I was just going to say. The seeking the solution, seeking the cure, seeking the relief, the reading the books, taking the tinctures, doing the supplements, doing the grounding, getting the sun, filtering the water, eating the good food. I could go on for days with the things I have done for relief, but that's where that all is perfect.
Exactly. And
Because
it's
there isn't a what? What?
that's freedom. When you come to that, again, someone can say that it's all perfect, but until if you're not ready to hear that, you won't. But when you are, that's what it looks like. Oh my God, it's not only was
I
that it's perfect,
I
like
I had to do all of that to know it wasn't a thing to fix with all of that.
yes, exactly. But you've got to go through the process to get to the
Oh,
point where you can receive the
what
answer.
an expensive, stupid process.
It's a spiral. Yeah, your emotional body deepens in a spiral. You can hold more of the moment without needing to know the answer, no matter how intense the emotion is, because you've done it for so long. You know that a bus isn't going to hit you, or a plane will drop on you, or suddenly going to, it's like something gets over the doubt voice because
Oh
you've lived,
yeah.
and that has a role, but also your mind. You spiral up. Your ability to see, put two and two together gets the hawk.
Yeah.
The sacred masculine is growing in height because of your ability to hold the moment.
Right.
And
I
that's important because at certain key points, you don't understand the shift in your belief system isn't so much conscious until something crystallizes it. And you'll hear something a whole new way. Oh my God. What you're experiencing is the benefit of the process you were going through that you didn't realize you were going through.
I
You don't see it until you
you
can,
don't
but
see it until you can.
without going through what happened beforehand, you
Before.
can't get to that point. That's the
Right.
problem everyone's got. We want to go from here to there, but you have to
Yes.
get everything out of the way of your ability to see the answer first, and you can't control that. That's what's happening. And at a certain point, the Arcturian said during the transition process, there's a certain point, particularly after open contact, where they'll be able to clear our field of all of the toxins and all the problems those of the interference have put. We have to get to a certain point first where
Mm.
that can be of service to
Allowed,
us. If it
permitted,
happened too soon, it
beneficial.
wouldn't be. So that they can't fix it for us until we're at a certain point. But once we're there, the help needed to remove everything that's messing with our brains, for instance, aluminium and the heavy metals and so on, is stopping our ability to think clearly. We're too tired. It's hard to put two and two together when you're in this state. But they said
Hmm.
once that's gone, your mental ability will go to a place that you've never experienced before. Your ability to recall will bring you back all the way to the moment, the first moment you can remember. And you will see the precision of every moment you went through, all the key moments you lived through, as being why you're able to see it all clearly now and be free of it. And gratitude will dissolve pain. So it's when
Yeah.
we see that everything's perfect, it's why we are free. Everything you've lived through is why when that moment when you're free, everything you lived through is why you experienced that moment. Then what's the problem with everything you've experienced? The context completely transforms and
Hmm.
gratitude dissolves pain. That's
I
freedom.
understand that. I understand that. And nobody can take it from you.
No. And what happened on this planet can never, ever happen again. And it can never happen to any other planet the way it's happened before on this planet. Because now self-aware life has the direct experience. When you know your own mind, you know all minds. We have the direct experience of the complete playbook, the mind of those of the interference. We've seen it from beginning to end.
So even in a millennia after this whole war is done and we're all skippity-doo-dah through eternity together. Like, and then we decide to seed another planet, there aren't going to be those of the interference able to do this shit again.
Look, they'll still be around. It's a process, but it's like, think of it as a legal precedent. It's like now there's a legal precedent.
I'm sorry, it's
The
just too
loophole,
big for me to
yeah,
grasp.
well, that that's the missing element. That's what's never been there before. Is the deception can only work if you can't see through it, and no race has actually lived through the entire playbook of the deception. So there's no part of that deception that's outside the capacity for self-aware life to take in anymore because we've done it. And
Oh.
the reason the reason it was so important for this planet to be set up from the beginning, and the Hawk oversaw all of this. Doesn't matter what you've heard about the Anunnaki and the Nephilim and the blah 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 blah. They're all just bit parts in a way bigger story that they didn't even understand. So whatever their role is, they're just part of the genetic process, and whatever their agenda was, who cares? It's got nothing to do with the full big picture, and that's the big one that's missing. He oversaw the creation of the planetary, the way the solar system was put together, the way the Earth formed. The whole thing was designed to create a physical density that puts us at the bottom layer of the physical universe, have the root layer of the physical universe. So when we wake up, everything above that has that experience. There's no race can be below that awareness. That was important. It had to be at the foundation layer so that the awareness could influence everything above it.
Mm.
And that's
Okay.
why it's shifting the balance of power in the universe.
Lindsay has a question, but I have one before that because you just said something about the hawk overseeing all of this. Why are the three incarnations of the Nazarene, why are they all male? And you might have said that previously on another call, and I
Because that's
just
the
couldn't
problem.
hear it.
It's the sacred masculine is where it all begins and ends. The divine feminine, the nature of the divine feminine can't be destroyed. It's always there. It just gets shut down. But it's the sacred masculine that's the vehicle of the inversion. If you want to destroy a civilization, you go after the sacred masculine. The capacity to be able to hold the truth. That's why the solution comes in the masculine form.
So
Because the
wait, the
problem,
capacity of the female to hold the truth?
it's yeah.
It's yeah, it's like untouchable. It's
Well,
not like we
the feminine is closer to the divine, to the reality that the energy of the universe can't be destroyed.
okay. Okay,
So
that's where all biological life comes from the
so
female. Okay.
the feminine principle is not in form fundamentally. It's not in form. It's all form, but the masculine principle is what gives light to the form. It's what names it. It's what gives the universe its structure is the masculine principle. The physicality of everything comes from the masculine principle because it's the ability to discern it. So the inversion is of the masculine principle. So Atlantis was created around the sacred masculine and it fell to the inversion, which is the ego that controls. Remember, that's the problem. The ego that controls, the ego in service to self. That's where the problem is or the solution is.
Okay.
So it's not that the men are more important.
Right.
It's just where the
It's
problem is. And so it's in our belief system.
right. Okay. 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 That helps. That helps. Lindsay has a question and Athena has a question. So, and Athena had said earlier, I released energy today. I was crying from like my second or third chakra. It exhausted me today, but it's totally worth it. Working on healing wounds that need healing. I'm always curious about how someone knows they're crying from their second or third chakra. I mean, honestly, I knew once I awakened that discomfort and so much of what I was going through was held in my solar plexus. I've told you that. I've told my friends that for 5 years. My solar plexus was like, before I was awake, in fact, I had like a camera scope go all the way down because I was like convinced I was dying of something before I understood energy and chakras and all of that. But right. And then crying from your second and third chakras. I don't know what that means, but I love the awareness of that. Like that's the kind of stuff like I want to know
Sure.
where I'm crying from, right? I mean, how many chakras are there? I mean, I know the seven, but aren't there so many more than that?
There are, well, what the relevant ones for us are nine
Nine.
chakras.
It's always nine, like the nine dimensions.
Nine is
Like the
completion.
nine images you saw falling off
Yeah.
the building. Nine
Top
completion.
God
Okay.
coming as nine principles, the nine Elohim. Because after that, it's just a repeating pattern. It's just different combinations of the first nine. The first nine are the purest elements of the universe. So the first nine chakras reflect that. And you can go higher, just like the dimensions, but again, they're just more complex derivations of the first nine principles in combination with each other.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
first nine chakras are principles, very clear principles. And then above that is what you get when you refine the energy, you combine them, and you can expand out from there. That's what civilizations go through, for instance. All self-aware life is five-dimensional.
Right.
So the three physical, time, and the fifth dimension of spirit, but then you can evolve, take that and evolve, expand it out. So the other four dimensions are the divine feminine, which you can't, it's not something you can put into form. You have to experience each race goes through a different version of it. So
Okay.
you can't pin it down in the same way you can with the first nine chakras, for instance. You can describe them as single things because they are at that point.
Okay. Okay.
So crying from them, that's interesting because you could look at
Well, she
look
explained
at
it a little more. She said, I've purged emotions a lot. Not many times have I cried from my abdomen. The muscles there were clenching a lot and feeling the sadness from that area. And I understand that. I mean, that I know it's right in the solar plexus. Like I can feel the grief in there. I can feel the weight. I can feel the density in the solar plexus. Like
yeah.
it's palpable. Yeah. Yeah.
See, for you, this is where things like astrology and numerology can really help you discern the specific fingerprints. See, for you, personal power is a big one, and giving your power away to other people who have a problem with personal power. They recognize your ability to love unconditionally. The reason they don't feel powerful is because they feel less than in some way. They feel like they have to hide that from people, but they don't feel that around you. So they take your energy. But you feel obligated and you give it away. You've grown up giving it away, thinking that if you don't do that, that they won't, that's all they want from you. Because in a sense, that's true. So you've deceived that's what they want from you. They don't really see you. So you've given
It's
your
another
power
reason I can't be around anybody.
to hold the real, exactly. So your version of this transition process is unique. There's no formula in terms of that. It's all the same thing as well.
Right.
Whereas,
Yeah, I
so is
know.
this Lindsay's question you
No,
asking?
no, this was Athena.
Athena,
Yeah,
sorry. So
yeah,
with
yeah.
Athena, the gut thing, for instance, you can look at the chakra around that. What are the key words? You don't need to understand all of it. Just you're in a particular question, you're in a particular experience. Look at find the first thing about chakras and trust that you've asked God for help. Trust that they're going to give you the keyword you need to unlock something at this point. Read it. You may not take it all in. It might be one word or a sentence, just a little element. That's all you need, that little
Mm-hmm.
golden thread. Look at that. And then look at your experiences in life through that lens and see if you can see anything, because it could be for your soul purpose. For yours, it's centered around the solar plexus because of personal power. For hers, it might be deeper. For Athena, yours might be in a different way, expressing itself in a different way. So again, the book's sealed until the end of time. There's a language to this that relates to you personally. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
way to decode that. So yeah, that's what trusting your heart connection looks like too. You trust that there's significance to this. You try to talk to people about it, different people explain it away, but you know there's something there that you want to know about. You don't want to get caught up in the spirituality of complications that people talk all of this language around.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah, like
bearded diamond energy coming through the soul. It's like, well,
yeah,
what
and
are
we're
the
all like,
is
what? Like,
happening?
why am I not
Well,
having that understanding or that
yeah,
kundalini or that like
yeah,
I want that, but it's really
we are.
complicating an actual simple
Yeah,
thing. So
because they haven't
so
directly experienced it yet. So for
so they
Athena,
got to talk all that stuff.
yeah, so you
So
come
yeah.
back to your own direct experience because that's exactly what you're having. That process is what you're going through, and this is how you connect to it. The
Yeah,
more you
so
do that,
Athena,
the more you get.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're honing our skills. We're simply honing our
Exactly.
skills.
It's
Yeah,
okay to make mistakes.
Athena was asked, like, where do you feel the emotion in the body? And she was feeling it in her abdomen, a little above and below my belly button. It wasn't her heart. So her muscles were sore, like she got a workout. And I
Yeah.
totally
So
get that. I totally get that.
I think back to childhood, being put into a situation, where would you hold the tension?
Oh yeah.
Often be there. So she
Yeah.
said, for you, it was more here,
Yep.
up here. For her, it's down there. Now again, that's a way to read the code of who you are, what you're here to do, and how your experiences have programmed you with a thought virus that gets in the way of that directly. That helps you to see the experiences you've had with family, for instance. It's a way to get out from under the gratuitous pain and suffering that they're a victim, they're a perpetrator, and you're a victim.
Right.
There's a language to that of how that experience, because remember, gratitude dissolves pain. How did
Yep.
those experiences serve you to wake up to the truth of who you are?
They all
What's
do.
what's it point to? So, Athena, just while we're here doing this, don't think too much about it, but just give me a couple of words that you feel describe the quality of that part of the body. What would you call the chakra at that point? What area of life does it deal with? While you're doing that, you'll get the question. Bear with me, I'm going to be back in 1 sec.
Oh, all right. Well, there goes Gareth, and now I'm just here talking to all of you about nothing. So, okay. And then, Lindsay, I do see your question about the inversion. It's a good question. Um, so if anybody wants to tell me how they're doing in the chat, which you all already did, having a hard time. Um, I think we all need catheters when we're on a live call. Ah, somebody help me out here. Anybody want to come on stage? Just kidding. Well, one of these days we're going to do that. Um, yeah, I just knew it was my solar plexus. The second I learned about chakras, I was like, that's exactly where it is. And it feels like there's like a burning hole right there. And it's been for a long time. Like everything served my awakening years before my awakening. Everything. It's funny to see that. Hi, Roseanne. Ah, Lindsay, I love you too. Somebody help me. Somebody ask a question. There is so much info. Ah, thanks. The strands in my hair, Athena, are called hair tinsel, and I'm going to keep getting them because even people I know to be kind of miserable get happy when they see my hair tinsel.
I wanted to
Anyway,
ask.
Gareth, you're not getting hair tinsel. Okay. Stacy Sunshine just came in. Hi, love. Um,
Did you, Athena, did you come up with a
Lindsay.
couple of
Oh,
words?
Lindsay just said, good for you clearing out all your stuff. You say you don't do things, but you do so much. Gareth, what do you always say about me?
Oh, you're the busiest person who does nothing I've ever met. Like, oh, you're so hard to
So,
catch because you're doing so
so,
much.
Right? So, Athena I don't know that she necessarily answered your question. Huge hug, Stacy. I love you. Um, but Athena, I don't know that she answered your question, but she had said, I know my lower chakras need work. We spent 2 years working on my heart chakra. Now we are working on the others, the lower ones. She had a lot of acne on her chest during the time of working on the heart chakra. Like when you see the spiritual manifest into the physical, you can't deny it, you can't unsee it, you cannot
Mm.
explain it away. And all that stuff is just coming more and more online. Stop looking at the chats, Gareth.
I'm
Put the
not,
phone
no,
down.
I've looked up those chakras and I'm just looking for a couple of keywords because I'm trying to access, I'm just trying to feel into it direct because this is a good way. I mean,
Yeah.
let's look at how can we kind of meet this transition process, and this is a good way to get under that. So, um, interesting because it's
Oh, she answered the question. Answer to the question was sexual expression and
yes,
enjoyment.
and creativity.
Oh,
They're connected.
okay. Okay. Oh, wonderful. Wow.
So
Sexual
sexuality,
expression.
see,
I'm gonna have to deal with that someday.
it's an important thing because it's about energy exchange and the exchange of energy being imbalanced within us between the feminine and masculine principle. Like creativity, that's why create you get inspiration, you feel it, and you act on it. So the
Right.
energy exchange, that's what we get edited out of. You know, someone might feel the inspiration, they're working a job and everything looks fine and whatever, but they'll feel the inspiration that it's time to move on and then explain it away. Or they could create, there's a gap, so we kind of don't do it necessarily. But
Mm-hmm.
it can be a very creative process. So the energy exchange constantly being in balance. So it's not about staying in a situation, but moving with life,
Hmm.
moving with life,
Yeah.
which, it's a different, again, it's a different emphasis. Doesn't mean the form needs to look any different, but the motivation is there. If the motivation is blocked, if the energy within us isn't flowing as it should, then you're going to have problems which will express themselves in the physical. That will feel like they're proving the feeling we have. That's the
What do you
problem.
mean?
Well, you start off feeling like you're not right as you are, then you create that by moving through the
Oh,
world.
so it
Through.
reinforces.
Well, so because you're creating it, you'll be in situations where the way you are coming across creates a reaction that matches the feeling. It feels like they're doing that because it's true. It's not the case because we're bringing a frequency into the exchange. But yeah,
I'm sorry. Mike just said, what about mustache tinsel? He's got a zinger every single
oh,
call.
he likes to.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Athena, I hope that was all wonderful. Fucking
Now
love
we've got
him. Party like it's 37.99.
him
Okay, so
wearing mustache tinsel.
oh God, he's so funny. Okay, so Lindsay's question was, will you talk about how the inversion has thrown off the balance of the universe? If I remember correctly, you briefly mentioned it in a previous video.
Yeah, well, it's really the amount of races that the amount of races that are giving their energy to the one that fell was creating an imbalance in the balance between light and dark within the universe. Because that's what the universe is. It's light and the absence of light. That's what allows the contrast to have experience. That's it. Time, light can move through space because of time. Time comes first. So that's what makes space. So light, the speed of light is such a big deal because it's how we measure the impact that time has on light is what creates space. So space for light to travel from A to B, there has to be a distance between them, and time creates that. So the physical universe comes from the fifth dimension. which all self-aware life does. So when enough races were brought into the inversion of that, it was giving too much form to darkness, which is not what it is. It isn't a
Right.
thing. That's creating an imbalance. Just think of it as like it's adding weight. The balance between light and dark is
Scales.
because nothing has weight. Light doesn't weigh anything, and darkness doesn't weigh anything. It's not a thing. But when you
Right.
start putting form into it, it's pulling the balance out at the foundation layer of the universe.
Right.
So that had to be resolved by creating a planet, a plane of existence, a way for a soul being to incarnate at that level, the foundation, which is the most physically dense. That's why God said, "You are the most physically dense race in the universe." But by putting all the diversity of life here, it connected that, even though we're the most dense race, we're unique in that we're connected to every other race above us. So reversing the inversion at this level here fixes the imbalance throughout the universe. So it's not that the inversion of this planet has caused the imbalance, that was already there. This planet was put here in the way it was, and we were designed the way we are because we're the solution to that problem.
To the problem. We're the solution to the imbalance. We didn't create the imbalance. We were created to
Just
correct
all
the imbalance.
correct. The chosen
Oh,
one chosen
Lindsay,
to
you
bring
got that? Oh, I like
Anakin
that.
Skywalker, Darth Vader, that's the human race. The chosen one chosen to bring balance back to the Force. You keep laughing. What?
Because Mike, he just writes "'Tis the season." And all I can hear is like National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. Like he doesn't respond to how fucking funny stash tinsel is or how I'm crying laughing. He doesn't say anything. He just comes out with "'Tis the season." He's so
Yeah,
funny.
it's hard for me to speak about.
Like we
Um,
can't talk about these galactic, cosmic, huge, massive things with Mike. Which in fact we can. You know I don't mean it, Mike.
that's the spirit we can
Okay,
put.
okay, okay. So Lindsay says, will they just cease to exist? And I know we've covered this on another call, and I don't mean to speak for Gareth, but there is a level of those who will just basically blip out of existence. And then I go into the question of, is it the Bill Gates? And is it the Oprah Winfrey? And is it Fauci? And not necessarily, because
No, not
it's
necessarily.
all
It
redeemable.
depends.
Yeah, it
It
depends
depends.
on if they severed their heart connection willingly.
It depends on their motivation for being where they are. If they were kidnapped as 4-year-old children and put through the
Right,
satanic inversion process to
right.
become Bill Gates, then no.
Then no, they'll
They'll be
absolutely be redeemed.
they'll be
But there
brought
are
back.
those that aren't.
They'll be brought back to the truth of who they are. Yes, that's it.
Yep, yep. Through
Through the
exactly what
fact,
we're all going through.
well,
So
through
they,
the fact that they allowed themselves to be a conduit for the inversion. See, they still have free will. Just like all of us, they
right,
still, at any point, they could have turned back to the light. However,
yeah,
for whatever reason, the the impetus not to was too powerful. But that wasn't their choice; it was done to them. It, it's one thing to be socialized through a process. It's another thing to be kidnapped by a group and deliberately distorted so that you are a conduit for this process. That's something else altogether.
yeah,
So there are parts of this inversion, there are parts of those of the interference that are of that. But whether they just blip out, that seems like a bit of a cop out. The way God put it, we would not like to be in their shoes. So that tells me there's a bit of a boomerang of involved in terms of what they've done coming back to them. Now I don't know the form it's going to take. I do know that what they were trying to do, the way they were going to use us to make the inversion, to make the
transition.
transition. It's again, it's what Steiner identified as the shadow realm. Now that's a product of what I was saying, that the darkness was being given form. The one that fell needs us to believe that the inversion of the ego is real, because it's not.
Right, because it's not.
There is no reality. That's a choice made by a free will being to experience life that way, but that's not the reality of life. So it needs, in order to exist in that form permanently, it needs enough self-aware life to choose to think that that's real, to make it real. That's the theory the one that fell had.
Mm,
That if it can get enough self-aware life to believe that it's reality of life, that it will become the reality of life because free will has to be honored.
right.
And the human race was put together the way we are because we're a microcosm of the galaxy. That's what I said. Instead of having to get enough races within this galaxy into that way of being, for that to happen, it only had to get one because we had the DNA of the whole galaxy effectively.
Right.
So that's why the trap that we represent, the solution to the problem, they described as shoot for the moon, life's best hand. So we're the best version of self-aware life that the universe can create, the most powerful version that
Tell
it's
that tell that to some people who think humanity is just like a big disappointment right now. And
yeah, well,
I
you
just
know,
can't go there. I can't
so was
go
Darth
there.
Vader.
Right, exactly. Like
And he's
I'm
the reason.
sorry. They're
He's the
like
reason. He's the reason it ended the way it did. Not
right.
Anakin
He's
Skywalker
the hero.
becoming
He's the
Darth Vader was
right,
how it happened. That's
right.
how he fulfilled his soul purpose.
And then
That's
coming back out, the
that
hero of the story.
we have enough power to be able to take it all the way to the point where we almost chose the inversion and come back to the light. Destroys because we were so close to the complete. We have the complete in
Yeah.
our awareness, and we chose. Think about it this way: darkness is not a thing. We've gone all the way through all of the darkness. We hold it in our awareness. So we're a microcosm of the dark and the light, waking up to the truth of the true nature of darkness and light.
Mm-hmm.
And that affects the entire universe because
Mm-hmm.
of that. We have the
Mm-hmm.
whole galaxy in our DNA profile, which means we're not just a microcosm of the galaxy, because that galactic pattern, the dynamic of a galaxy, is repeated throughout the universe. So we have the same dynamic genetically that everything in the universe holds. So
Yep.
there's a lot more to it than that.
Right.
But it's
Well,
basically the fundamental. We have a direct experience of the darkness being made into a thing to the point where it was almost real and then coming back to the truth
right.
that it isn't.
Right.
So there's nothing they can do to trick us into doing it ever again because we've seen it all. And you
Right.
know your own mind, you know all minds.
No way.
When we know how the inversion worked, we can see straight through the one that fell to the
Right.
core. And
Right.
there's no way it can work anymore. But more than
Um,
that, the balance within the universe is the knock-on effect of that creates a wave that goes
we're
back through all the worlds that have been inverted.
yes, exactly. We're restoring the balance of the universe and all the civilizations who have been successfully inverted because we were not.
Right now, so think of it this way. The Galactic Federation has been helping us, is the top end of the pincer.
Yeah.
Nazarene, the homeopathic dose triggered a response within the human race that allows the bottom end of the pincer, everyday people, right?
Yep.
Those three elements.
Yep.
That's what we've created for the rest of the galaxy. So
Yep.
the Galactic Federation's always been there fighting this darkness. But
Yep.
what's always been missing is someone to close the gap. So we are that. So this energy wave, the Nazarene he put a truth of who we are into our collective consciousness that triggered a wake up. It's like a wake up call.
Mm-hmm.
We're connected to the rest of the galaxy. So that same dynamic, once we're past this point, plays out throughout all these other civilizations we're genetically connected to. So they'll start feeling the same process that we've been going through from the impact of the Nazarene. That'll start being an influence in their world. So no matter how dark they've become, it will start to break down from the inside, just like here. And at a certain point, the Galactic Federation will be able to get those of the interference, the physical element out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
because their critical mass will happen. They'll be able to pull the physical civilizations out of the way like they did with us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come in top pincer with all of the understanding of what they've been through, we complete the picture for them because we've been there. And we just
Mm.
go back through the galaxy with the Federation doing that.
Oh, isn't
That's
that
what's cool.
wonderful? What a party. Last question. Is the one that fell the demiurge the way the Gnostic texts describe?
Yes, I mean, there's lots of ways to put it. Religion is, you got to watch it. But what they describe, the demiurge, think of that. Think of think of the word urge. It's like motivation. You get the urge to do something, you feel the
Mm.
motivation. So the
Mm.
universe was created from an urge to experience the potential that the divine field of energy can take. The urge to do that, to explore. You feel an urge to go out there and explore.
Hmm.
The demiurge, that creates the Nazarene. That creates the one who can have that experience. The one and the all that creates that let there be light. So now there's a soul that can have that experience. The ultimate expression of that is the Nazarene, which we are all. That's why he said you're all the same as me. This is what the masculine mass principle does when you connect soul energy to it. It creates this experience. The demiurge is just how you describe the opposite.
Okay.
It's like the opposite intention
Okay.
to try to be separate.
Oh, to try to be separate. But so Lindsay asked for clarification. So it was an energy that fell?
Look, God describes this as the one that fell, the one,
Right.
the
Yeah.
mind, it's the thought about everything that's possible has to exist. So it's what happens when you create uh, a sacred masculine, a principle that can have the illusion of being separate from what God knows, but it's still God. That's really all an ego is. It's the
Hmm.
thought about what you can be and what can be. The thought I. First, in order for you to have experience, you have to be an I first. I am hot. You can't be hot without being I am. So I am is always there. But what makes the I am is the fact that you are just God. There is no separation in reality. But you can have the illusion of separation, which is the mind that doesn't know that yet, but will by meeting each experience that the illusion of separation creates. Like when I was two, I'm humming a song that was coming through me, not from me, and seeing a single frequency, this frequency in my chest, and one frequency creating everything around me, so I could experience it. But it was ultimately me. It was all one. There was no separation.
Hmm.
That's all. That's all it's for. The demiurge is just the consequence of taking that thought and turning it into um, a thing that is separate.
Hmm.
The consequences of that are you you become an inversion of love, and that describes the impact of that comes next, which is what we would call hell. And really, it's just describing the potential of what happens when you go against your true nature, when you think you're an ego is all you are. The thought I is consciousness is another way of putting it. That's what a lot of
Wasn't even their fall though still and always
think.
a seeking of love?
Yes,
Yeah.
the way he described it to
Everything
me,
is.
darkness serves a purpose.
Yeah.
That's why gratitude will dissolve pain. Even the inversion process the planet Earth went to, the galaxy went through, and our role in it, it all serves a purpose in the divine, experiencing the divine in all the forms the divine can take.
All
The
right.
inversion is one of them.
Okay.
But is it natural, or
Hmm.
is it a consequence of free will separated from wisdom of the heart? Yes. But because it's a consequence of the mind, it's a thought, not a reality.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Not
Okay.
of the
So
isn't
okay. So Lindsay had a funny thing. She said, "Oh my gosh, a wake-up call that's taken 2025 years." But then but then said, didn't Sophia fall? Which Lindsay added to the text said the demiurge was a creation from Sophia. And then she goes on to say, and due to her choice to create, she then fell, broke into pieces, and our souls is a piece of her. Christ came to rescue her because it was his counterpart. They were aeons, Aeons, created from God. What do you have to say about that?
That's again, you got to remember that after the destruction, is the way God put it, there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of mythologizing
I was just
of
going to say storytelling.
storytelling. So you've got to watch it. But again, it's a complicated way of saying what's what's the impact of having a thought that goes against who you are? But where does who you are come from? Consciousness, that the heart connection. I mean, what's this whole thing run on? Creative energy. That's the feminine principle. So the creative energy of God created the mind. So yes, Sophia gave birth to, but that thought, the sacred masculine, uh, becoming this, wanting to become the center of gravity out of fear, out of lust, out of distortion or imbalance. That's what made it fall, not the heart. It's the sacred masculine that created the fall. Now, those of the interference want it to be the other way around, because if it's the other way around, you can never resolve it. So there's a lot of inversion, the whole Adam and Eve thing.
Yeah.
It makes it look like the masculine principle is first and innocent, and the feminine principle is second and subservient. That,
Yeah.
and that's because they want us to see it that way, because we'll never be able to resolve ourselves in
It's
that
the
way.
inversion.
The inversion. So
Yep. Okay.
where the Gnostics originated from and how they, a lot of the way people express themselves can get lost over time as well. People interpret things. So it's tough. But the bottom line is that's what happened. The divine order is feminine. What we think of is where the problem comes in. We can completely reverse reality and think that's reality. And we give our creative energy to it by doing that, which is love, which is the feminine. The power to create. The masculine creates, but the power to create is feminine. Inspiration. But it's the mind that took that inspiration and inverted it, not the heart.
It's a lot. This is a
So
lot of
it's a lot. That's why
information.
God called the Bible a portion of letting through of truth. The same principles in the Bible apply to all of it, spirituality around the world.
I just said it's a lot. You said it's a lot. And then you said, and that's why God called it. And I'm like, that's why God says we got to hang up now.
Yes, it's been a long one.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See you,
See you
everybody.
next week. Thanks for watching. Love you so much. Oh, she's got another question. We're saving it for next time. Bye.
Bye.